With a week before the election, both Obama and McCain are presenting their final arguments, like in court, to the voters, who are the jurors here, of course. How do they measure up? Let's turn to Democratic strategist Bob Shrum and Republican strategist Ed Rogers, who also served as an aide to President Bush's father, the first President Bush. Bob Shrum, I want to talk to you about a number of things here because I know you're very passionate. It seems to me one of the things that we're looking at here is perhaps the end of an 8-year period in which division of the voters was a strategy by one of the parties, dividing the parties over class, race, sexual orientation, all kinds of things dividing people. And for whatever reason, Barack Obama seems to be striking a chord, and he does. I've been out there watching him when he talks about unity. Let's watch.
Can't afford the same political games and tactics that we've seen over the last few years. Despite what my opponent may claim, there are no real parts of America or fake parts of America. There's no city or town that's more pro-American than any place else. We're one nation, all of us proud, all of us patriots.
You know, Bob, I've been out there watching his speeches of his, and what grabs people is not we're going to get even, not we're going to change policy, not we're going to have redistribution or spreading the wealth. What always works with the crowd, including poor people, is we're going to be united. It is stirring to hear.
Well, I think that's been part of his message from the very beginning, goes all the way back to 2004. The remarkable thing about him is the strategic consistency of his appeal all the way up to the closing days of this campaign. But he's talking about the things people really care about. Finding a bipartisan way to move the country forward, the economy and how to restore it, tax cuts for the middle class, health care, things that are really central to people's lives. And I think that's McCain's problem. He can't fight or compete on that field very effectively, so he's going around talking about redistribution, socialism, all this other stuff. And I think most voters are hearing it and saying, that man isn't talking to me.
What is the closing argument, Ed, of your candidate?
Well, by and large, Obama is able to get away with platitudes. He says things like, you know, we're for justice and we're for peace and we're for prosperity. We're for unity. Unity is a platitude.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Why doesn't your party use it?
And keep in mind that the
How
race.
Come you guys never use it.
Well, they used to, Chris.
Because it's not celebrated and it doesn't get away as an applause line. If McCain used it, who's against unity, Chris? Come on, be fair. But the fact of the matter is, this race is still very close. It's within 4 to 7 points. McCain needs to make up a point a day, and he can still win.
Okay, I agree with that. Let's watch him now. Here's Senator McCain talking today about Obama trying to control wealth rather than produce it.
He's more interested in controlling wealth than creating it. In redistributing money instead of spreading opportunity. I'm going to create wealth for all Americans by creating opportunity for all Americans.
How does that reach the undecided voter? It seems like that's a very effective plea, Ed Rogers, to the Republican base. It's hard Republican economics, which we've been under for the last 8 years. Why would that sell now?
And right now, you're right. Republicans are not credible on the economy. He needs to make a broader point about Obama doesn't have an economic plan. He has an ideological belief that he should take money from one person and give it to another. That doesn't create wealth. That doesn't create jobs. That doesn't create an economy in which people can seek opportunity.
How does he do that? Just tell me what the method is for Obama. Explain what you mean by that.
How Obama does it or how McCain does it?
How Obama would take money from some people and give to... Who would he take from?
Well, let's take what he has said. He will take money from people that he wants to raise taxes on.
Who are they?
He told Joe the plumber.
And who would those people be?
Well, ultimately, it's all of us. He wants to raise Social Security taxes.
That is a lie. That is a lie.
He wants to raise...
Ed,
no,
it's a lie.
He wants
to raise and I'm not going to let you say it. It's a lie.
On capital gains and interest income.
Okay, slow down.
It's not a lie at all.
Okay, your point is he wants to take from everybody.
And you know why it's not working? You know why it's not working?
He wants to give to people that support it.
It's not working.
about?
It's not working for a simple reason that Chris alluded to in the last segment. People are not interested in these abstract.
Plan.
You know, Ed, you talked a long time. Let me talk. People are not interested in these abstract discussions about progressive income tax. People are for the progressive income tax. They know that Obama gives a tax cut to everybody under $200,000 and to 95% of the American people. And you know what? You're ashamed to say who would pay more, because the people who would pay more are the people at the top. They would pay slightly more what they paid under Bill Clinton, when, by the way, we created a lot of jobs and had a very prosperous
today's economy that suggests a tax increase is the solution? We need job creation. We need to cut the corporate income tax.
Yes.
We need job creation.
Is it better to borrow more money from China or to raise taxes? What's better?
What's better?
Because you have to do one or the other.
Better? No, you don't.
Where do you get this money from?
Grow your way out of it. You can grow your way out of the deficit. That's what we did before.
The problem is,
economic growth.
I wish that were true.
Any problems that
the problem is right now, nobody's borrowing money, nobody's lending money.
Chris.
Our economic situation is at a standstill. We got a real challenge out there, and I just wonder what kickstarts it.
And what is the problem where raising taxes is the solution in today's economy?
He is giving a tax cut to the middle class. He is putting taxes back to the level for the very wealthiest. Ed, let me finish. I am being honest. You guys have been lying for the last month consistently because you can't win this on a straight up and down economic choice. And in fact, McCain's own people said we can't win on the economy.
You agree. What I find fascinating, and you guys have all, like I have been watching these polls all our lives practically, when the Democrats have broken even with the Republicans on the tax issue, which has always been your party's strength. What's your problem? How come that happened? How come his argument, whatever it is winning?
Because we are not credible on the economy. We have an incumbent that is at 10% job approval on the economy. Even though McCain
he cut taxes, he did everything you said a Republican should do, and this is where we're at.
How philosophical do you want to get?
No, I'm just saying where we're at because of Republican policies.
McCain is a legitimate opponent of the status quo in Washington, period. He should get credit for that. He always has been. He's not for more of the same.
He said he supports the Bush
more
tax
of the same, plus some. Plus some. A pro-growth economic philosophy. Obama doesn't have an economic philosophy. He has an ideological philosophy of redistributing the wealth. He does.
Oh, come on.
Let me ask you, Bob Shrum. Let's elevate this for 1 minute here. When Barack Obama gets into the White House, will he be the kind of interesting pragmatist like Jack Kennedy was back in the 60s, where he put together a cabinet? It was basically about fiscal, stimulus, tax cuts at the right time. He tried to get them through, never could. But he really bounced it off by putting Doug Dillon as Treasury Secretary, Eisenhower person. Do you think Barack's going to do that? Will he put together a solid centrist team to push his agenda? What kind of administration do you think he'll put together?
I think he'll be a pragmatist if he wins. I think he will have Republicans in the cabinet. I think he'll propose national health care reform, and I think he'll give tax cuts to the middle class. And I think people will say that's pretty much what we want. And then he's going to have to go on and face some of the big challenges that we have, which is how do we prepare to compete with China, India, educate our kids, stuff like that.
Everything that's easy to be done in Washington has been done.
Well,
we need a president who can do hard things. He's never done one hard thing in his life. He said
that's not true. You know what? Let me tell you something. Somebody from the South shouldn't say that a black person running for president's never done a hard thing in their life.
Don't you even go there.
Okay.
Obama's never done one hard thing in his life.
I do this, Bob.
What?
Let's not just drop this. I think the problem is what you address, which is the ins get blamed when things go bad. And your party's the ins right now. Thank you, Bob Shrum. Thank you, Ed Rogers. Anyway.